Welcome back to the show. If you hear the music, there's a reason why. I'll play it later, but there's a reason why I'll have that in there. But you've seen the title, and this is going to be What If Deku Was a Magician? Well, this is how it's going to start. His mother and his father always stayed together. They never left, they were always with him. But they had 3 quirks, each one of them. Hisashi had 3 quirks. His quirks were mind read, right? And he could tell what people were in their, well, you know what mind read is, and card manipulation. He always has cards on him, and he can pretty much do whatever he wants with them. And then he has teleportation. His hat, he could jump in, and he could guide wherever it wants to go, and then he could pop out of it. His mother, Inko Midoriya, her quirks are 1. Manipulation. Or, yeah, I'll call it matter. Let's call it matter manipulation in a way. She could pretty much control everything. No, property change. Yeah, that's better. She could change whatever she wants for properties. So if it was a card, she could make it bigger and make it like a parachute. Her second ability is Chip Boomer. Pretty much chips, if she throws them, they boom. And her last one wasn't so flashy, but it was invisibility. She could just go invisible whenever she wants. And Izuku's just gonna have a mixture of it, and pretty much all of these abilities transformed into one. So let's begin. I just pretty much told you what they were about, and yeah. So let's begin. Inko Midoriya and Hisashi loved each other. They were pretty strong heroes. They were magicians. They were known as the Magician family. And not really many people thought that they would have a child. But one day, they were just in Japan, because that's where they did it. And, yeah, I'm trying to also look for a better picture for Izuku, because, here it is. This is what I was looking for. Yeah, okay. This is what Izuku's going to look like as his hero costume, and, yeah, pretty much he's going to look like this, usually. This is his hero costume, and God, I hate that one. And then I'll look up something else for Midoriya. Okay, let's go. Sorry. And they had a child, and they just called him Midoriya. Or Izuku, it was regular. But they noticed that Izuku had black hair, Hisashi had white, and Inko had green. So, they were confused, but they didn't really care. But he was born with these marks under his eyes, so they thought it was probably part of his quirk. And it will. Or, kind of in a way. Sorry, I'm moving my phone. And, yeah. People know that Izuku's parents were pretty famous in Japan. So, people really were friends with him. And he never met Bakugo. He went to a different school instead of meeting Bakugo. And the school he went to was the exact same one as Yaratsu's, right? And you guys get to make the ship. So the school he's gonna be in, because they're in a private school, let's say because they made a lot of money, that Todoroki and Momo and, let's say, Ida and Suyu were in that school. So he kind of met them pretty early on. And, sorry, I'm moving again. Where was I? Yeah. And Izuku just really didn't know what to do. When he was born, they went to the quirk doctor, and they told him that his quirk was called Magician. And they were kind of surprised how many abilities he could do. It was pretty much all 6, it was pretty much what his parents could do. And Izuku tried something one day. And the thing he tried was his cards. And he was friends with one of the kids. And one of the kids said, "What can you do with the cards?" And Izuku says, "Let me see." And he sat down and got a card out. And he said, let's see if this could work. And hold on. Give me a second. I'm trying to skip this out real quick. He says, "Surveillance." And then you see Izuku's eyes start changing. And so does the markings under his eyes. And you kind of hear this. You hear this coming out of nowhere. And I'll say this friend, Izuku's friend, was getting scared because he didn't know what was going on. His eyes were changing colors. He didn't know what was going on. He was kind of getting scared. He wanted to walk away, but he wanted to stay with Izuku. And you just see the card flying everywhere. You see it going in circles, going around areas. You can see it touching people or going nearby people. People try to catch it, but it goes away. And Izuku stopped and said, "End," and it's gone. But his eyes are still changing, the markings are still changing. You can still hear the music, and all of a sudden, you see that everything's going weirdly. Manipulation, his other abilities are going off. You see that things aren't going well. Like, they're at the playground and sorry, hold up, let me stop this. They're at the playground and the bars are bending, they're wobbly, and some kids are enjoying it because they didn't know what was going on. But his friend was scared, and let's say a pro hero came by. The pro hero was Mandalay, yeah. The cat, or the wild pussycats were nearby, and they came by and they didn't know what was going on. And they tried to get the kids out, and then they saw Zuko still has his eyes coloring and markings color still changing, and they just hear the music still, or they could hear it when they get near him, and and then it stopped out of nowhere. It stopped out of nowhere, and Izuku fainted. The heroes ran over, and they were in shock. This boy's eyes were now red and multicolor. Izuku's eyes kept changing. They didn't stop changing. The markings never stopped. Pretty much, Izuku's eye color just kept changing a lot. And later, when he kept going on, the eye colors stopped changing. Well, they slowed down changing. Because when he was younger, they just kept changing. But his markings kept changing colors, no matter what. And Izuku kind of noticed when he was mad, they would go into red or into a red type of colors. When he was sad, he would go into blue. Happy would kind of yellow, orange, different multicolors. Green would be disgusted. So he thinks, emotions. Maybe I just got an extra ability with this. And yeah, when he finally got into the school with Suyu and all of them, everyone and he was in the exact same class with all of them. And everyone in his class, when he introduced himself, noticed that he had markings and they just kept changing, and his eye was red, and pretty much both of his eyes were red, and the markings just kept changing though. So they didn't know what was going on. And let's say they were really good friends with Izuku. And they asked, "So what is your quirk?" Everyone asked, and he said, "My quirk is magician." And they're like, what does that mean?" He says, "Well, if I have multiple abilities with this magician." They're like, "Really?" And he says, "Yes." And then he says, "Now you see me?" And then he's gone. And then he's in an empty scene. He says, "Now you do. Now you see me, and now you don't." Pretty much. And he was just sitting down, and they're like, "Wait, invisibility with it?" He's like, "Yep." Then he pulled out a card deck, and he was using the cards to fly around. He accidentally cut his finger a little, and he's like, fuck, I was messing around way too much with them. Then he put the card back. And he noticed that the cards have different properties. And I'll explain this later on, probably in part 2 maybe. Or I might make an extra video about what his quirk could pretty much do and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. And he just shows off his other abilities: visibility, teleportation, card manipulation. What was it? The checker boom. Property property change. Yeah, I think that was it. I don't know. I forgot. I can't remember pretty much. But yeah, he had all of the abilities. Sorry. And Izuku was pretty much kind of famous in his school. People respected him. Some people kind of hated him. A lot of people actually disliked him because how many people were hanging around. And it was like this big friend group. Let's say in half of the year. Because let's say they've been at this. He started that school at 10. And it's like a private school. So it'll take him on to college, I guess, let's say. Right? No, it'll just take him on to college, because why not? Because he's going to be a college in this. And let's say he was 15. He's in 5 years since he's been in that school. This big friend group tried to attack Deku with their quirks after school. And he was just by himself. And Izuku said no. And he went invisible and tried to walk off. But one of the kids had a surveillance quirk, so they hit him. But Izuku got a card out and said shield, and this card was a jack. So here, let me explain this. So with his cards, he combined it with property manipulation. Yeah, that's what it was called. And he pretty much put properties on the cards. Aces will be attackers or swords. Kings will be health, so he could regenerate himself, pretty much heal himself and others. Queen will be defensive, so it'll pretty much make them stronger. Jack was defensive. Queen will be like boost. 10 will be, or I'll just make all spades because it'll be easier. Spades is soldiers, or weak soldiers. Aces, no. Hearts will be stronger, and spades are the strongest soldiers. Hold up, spades, hearts. I'm trying to remember. I don't really remember all the cards deck, so yeah. And Joker was killer. So pretty much his Joker cards look like this. And they kill. And he noticed, and he figured this out because he might have accidentally killed let's say he accidentally killed a deer with it. Yeah. And I don't know what you guys want the ship to be. It could be a pro hero or something. Don't really care. You guys do it, and I'll add them in. So yeah, sorry I'm moving again. And they attacked, but he didn't. He just blocked off and kept going. And he finally got home. His parents were just there hanging out, and they're like, "How's it going?" He says, "Good." I almost got people try to attack me again today. And they're like, "Oh, what'd you do?" And he says, "I just used my Joker." Or, not Joker, I used my Jack. And they're like, "Good." I was about to say, if you used your Joker, you would have been in trouble. And he's like, "Yeah, I know, I wouldn't kill them." And then he went back, then he said, "Well, I'm gonna head up to my room." And he said, and they're like, "Oh, okay then." And Midoriya hasn't really told anyone that he could do more abilities. With this hat, he could pull out different animals. And everything he pretty much, he thinks of himself that he could do anything, really. And then he sat down, pulled out all of his cards, and laid them out. And then you hear it. And only Deku could hear this time. But you hear this again. And this is the ticking. You know what I'm talking about. And Izuku hears this, and he's like, "Here we go again." And it starts getting darker and darker, and then figures start peering up. And they're like, "You called again?" And he's like, "Yes, I wanted to keep training." And these figures are old magicians that were amazing. So like this person right here, that's colorful right here. This guy right here on the bottom left, and the guy on the right, and this guy right here and here. So let's say this guy right here is puppet manipulation. And he said, well, let's get to work. And he says, well, it's my turn, boys. You guys could rest for now. And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. And the music got louder. And he's like, let's begin. And it just turns back to color. And it's light again. And you just see these puppets moving around. And it's weird. And then the music just stopped. And he's like, okay. And Izuku woke up and he noticed that it's over. He was done. He mastered puppet manipulation now fully. And he tried it on it, and he saw an animal. No, let's say that he saw one of the kids that tried to attack him today walking by. He said, want to try this. He opened his window and said, puppet. And, hold on, what the hell? Give me a second. Hold up, I'll be right back. And then the ticking that he hears changed into this. It's a deeper type of ticking. And he's like, what? And he had strings on his fingers, and then he started moving his fingers up and down, side to side. He started moving his wrist up and down, side to side. And he noticed that the boy's moving his bodies. And then Izuku just stopped, and he still hears the music. He looks at his hands, and he sees that they're bleeding. And he doesn't know what's going on. He tried to wipe it off with a napkin. It just kept coming. And then he looked at the threads, and they're bleeding also. And he's like, what's going on? And he went back and then the mindscape came back, and he sees the puppet master Red. And this music just keeps coming. And then you see that the puppet master's eyes are red and white now. Then the music's back on how it was at first, and his eyes just went back to full red. And he said, what happened? He said, oh, I kind of took control a little bit. I saw how they hurt you earlier, so I kind of wanted some revenge a little bit, or tried to hurt you. He said, what did you do to him? I just kind of pricked him a little. Kind of hurt his nerves. He said that you're not allowed to take control of that like that again. Do you understand? Said yes, whatever. And this is one of the abilities I gained. He said, well, I mastered you. You could take some rest now. And like I said, I'll make him important also. But yeah. And Izuku, let's say, now we're going to do a time skip. And this time skip's going to be the last year of UA, or the last year of school before they head to college. No, let's say the last week. And Izuku knows that what school he wants to go to, and he knows that Momo, Tsuyu, Tenya, Momo, Tsuyu, Todoroki, and Ida all want to go to the same school, and that's UA. Todoroki knows, and so does Momo, that they were going to get in instantly because they got recommended. So they're just taking that way in. But Izuku didn't really know. And his parents aren't heroes, but they're magicians. And they've helped the heroes before with attacks to evacuate people. And to actually help. So pretty much they're kind of like side heroes. And Izuku did get recommended, but he wanted to keep trying his abilities. The reason he got recommended is because his parents were kind of heroes in a way. They had hero license and everything. Pretty much they were heroes. They were in the top 10. Inko would be 9 and Hasashi would be 8. Right? And Never second, Mirako could be third, I guess, and Ryukio the dragon here could be fourth, why not? And All Might's still first, so yeah. And they're just Hawks could be fifth, why not? I hate Hawks. Like, I know some people like Hawks, but I just don't like him that much. Reasons also. Motherfucker killed twice. Anyways, sorry. Rambling. Where was I? Yeah. And let's say it's Friday, actually the last day now. And Izuku, and the teacher said kids that are going to want to go to UA, sue you. People kind of laughed because your quirk. And then Deku's eyes turned red a little. Turned red. And so did his marks. They weren't changing. Then people noticed this and they're like, what's up? And he says, don't laugh at my friends. Right? And then everyone was quiet. Then his marks kept changing colors and his eyes were just plain. And everyone stopped messing around. Todoroki, no one really, and everyone's like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yarotsu, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Also, she could be a good hero. And then Tenya Ida, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. He probably got recommended also, huh? I'm guessing those three got recommended. And then one more. And they said, oh, who else? Izuku Midoriya. And everyone looked at him. And Todoroki thought he was stronger than Izuku. But everyone looked at Izuku and said, yeah, that's reasonable. He's the strongest in our class. Todoroki's like, yeah, in a way, I guess. I could probably beat him in some matters, but he could probably be beaten a little bit more. And Izuku is talking to Todoroki now. He said, and maybe your quirk is very fascinating, though. You could probably just melt my. You could stop my cards pretty easily, though. But then he's like, well, but you could make those cards change in a way that they don't get affected by anything, by your abilities. And he's like, yes, but you could probably counter it. He's like, and they're just having a conversation in class now, and everyone's just listening. Suyu, Ida, and Momo are just laughing about it. And let's say they all sit by each other. And let's say it was the end of the day, and they said, hey, since we have 10 months, you guys want to train together with those 10 months? And he said, yeah, sure. And Izuki said, well, I gotta head home, guys. See ya. And they said, see ya. But when he got home, he saw something that he never wanted to see. He saw his father and his mother on the floor, dead. And Izuku just stopped. He stopped changing colors. His colors went black. His eyes went black. And then the music didn't appear. It was more like this. Give me a second. I'll show you. Okay, I'm back. And it wasn't the ticking music anymore. That's what he named it. But it was, he called it Scary Hour. And you just hear this ticking, but it's different. And Izuku was there. He called the police. And they hear this music when they walked in. And they see Izuku crying there with his dead parents. And let's say his friends came and they helped him. And Izuku started living with. Okay, never mind. This is not the music. Wow, I did not see that coming. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Wow, no surprise. Sorry. Where was I? Hold on. Yeah, and let's say he started living with Todoroki. Sorry. If you hear my dog in the background, sorry. But Izuku started living with Todoroki was weird because, hey baby, and my dog just came up here. Where was I? Yeah, and he pretty much he saw Endeavor pretty much hurt Toto, and one time he stepped in front of Endeavor's punch, and Izuki got hit, but when he got hit, it sounded, his ticking music came back, and it was like this. And Todoroki's like, oh no, Izuku, calm down. And he said, and Izuku started changing, and it's getting, and it just gets louder and louder, and Endeavor doesn't know what's going on, so pretty much he used it, started getting his quirk warmed up, and he said, what the hell's wrong with you, kid? And he said, we should have never adopted you. And Izuku could talk during this state now. And this is pretty much when Izuku kind of loses control, and people and the other magicians, like them, start taking over. And you just hear voices, we know. And it's like deep voices, soft voices, it's like, we no. And it's just shifting between each other. And it's just saying, we know. And that was it. He ran off that day. Endeavor pretty much called him a villain, and Todoroki ran off with him. And his sister and his brothers, because Tomura was still there. And they ran, pretty much the Todoroki family, all the children ran away to help Deku. And let's say they went with Ida now. And Ida has them as family, and now, but Izuku never got adopted by them. Then pretty much the Todoroki family ran back home because they were still Todorokis. Ida never found Midoriya. Pretty much the friend group never found Midoriya in a little while. And let's say in the last month, they didn't know where Midoriya went, so they thought he was gone forever. And they all met up, and they were talking about what should we do. And a guy in a hat, in a very nice suit, walked up and said, hello, guys. And they looked up and they see it's Izuku. Like, wait, what happened to you? And he says, well, I've been training. Sorry, I've missed a few months of training. And they're like, it doesn't matter, you're back. And now we're going to time skip to the day before the entry exam. And he said, so, where have you been living? I've been living with a pro hero. And they said, what pro hero? And he says, do you guys know the pro hero named Mirko? And yeah, I'm gonna make him live with Mirko, because why the hell not? I was thinking Ozawa, but Ozawa already has to deal with a few children already. And he's like, I've been living with Mirko, the pro hero. And they're like, oh, that's amazing. And he says, yeah, she gave me a rabbit. And the rabbit, I've changed a little bit of it. They're like, what do you mean? And he says, I'll show you. He got down his top hat and patted it once, and put it pretty much how you put it on a hat, or top hat. Or he put it upside down, yeah. And a rabbit came out, but the rabbit was bigger, and he said, I could write it now, and if I ask it to, it'll protect me. They said, protect, and the rabbit transformed into a vicious type creature. Here, give me a sec, I'll show you what it could do. Okay, it didn't go scary, But it went into like a form, pretty much it went to a girl form, let's say. And it went to this. It was like a blue rabbit hair. And she said, yes, well, she said, why should I be protecting you? You're talking to your friends, aren't you? And he said, yes, but I had to show them you. And they were just having a conversation, and the girls were surprised that he pretty much has a girl on him. And the boy, and Ida was blushing about this, and so was Todoroki. And let's say Endeavor came to pick up Todoroki, and Endeavor saw him, and he said, "Villain!" And he tried to go for attack, but Mirko was also there, because she knew that, because Deku told Mirko what happened, and she said, "Well, you gotta get control of that," and stuff like that. He says, "I know, but I can't when there's other people like that." Because she pretty much told her everything that he could do. And she was shocked. She thinks that he's stronger than All Might. But not yet. He's pretty much he's like strong at 10% of All Might's power. Or, you know what I mean. So yeah. Where was I? Yeah, and she pretty much catched it, and she said, "That's my son there. Don't mess with him, please." And he was in shock, and he's like, "You adopted him?" And she said, "Yes, I did. Now leave. Take your son and please go. I'll see you at the entry exam tomorrow." And they said, "Yeah." And yeah, I'm gonna end it there. If you guys got confused, sorry. I kind of got confused during it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy and have a wonderful day.